Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. I'm going to be starting today's the first to start a series of videos. We're going to talk about different aspects of comic book collecting, different things you may look into when you start doing your own collections or expanding your collections. But today I decided to do just a quick video just talking a little bit about giving some basic advice of stuff I've learned from collecting comics. The first piece of advice I can give you is collect what you like. Don't try and collect everything just because it's valuable or something like that. Just find something you really like. Find either a character or a writer, or maybe an artist you really like, and just start collecting them. I have found that some of my comic books that have gotten more valuable over time is actually stuff I bought off the shelf when it first came out. It was just because I liked the stories or I liked the characters, and then as time's gone on, it's gotten more popular. Another piece of advice I'm going to go ahead and give you is make sure that when you do collecting, make sure you also kind of have in some ways a budget plan. Comic books is very much a hobby that can become very expensive very quickly, especially if you decide you want to collect certain series, like say you wanted to collect the original run of Amazing Spider-Man. You're talking about having to spend quite a bit of money, especially getting like some of the very early issues. So that's something you want to take into account. It's just thinking about the financial aspects of the hobby. So there's a lot of stuff you can buy for only $1 or in the dollar bin boxes, but there's also a lot of stuff too that we're talking that can range anywhere from 10 up to even in the tens of thousands, even in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So so when you're doing that, just think about the financial price. Another piece of advice is streamline your collection. Don't try and collect everything. This kind of ties in with both the first two. Just because it gets the hobby gets very expensive if you try and collect everything. This book I have here is the Overstreet Comic Book Guide. It gives the prices on many different comics that have been printed, and there are tens and tens and hundreds of thousands of comics that are mentioned in here. So to try and collect all of them is just impossible. So just when you start doing your collection, just take into account things like prices, what you want to collect, and then of course streamline. You can always change your mind if you read a new writer you really like and want to start collecting them. That's of course fine. It's just make sure you don't try and do too much at once. Another piece of advice I can give is do research. Especially if you're going to start collecting into like more some of the higher end and even more expensive comics. Doing research can help save you both time and money. So in many ways, you can look at prices and stuff, making sure that the price you're seeing for a comic is actually what it should be, or if someone's not overcharging you. You can also do research, finding out if you think a certain series may be popular or something like that, doing research. So in many ways, that just really helps with your collection. A couple things that can actually help you with doing research, even learning more about comics. As I mentioned, the Overstreet Guide, for many years, the Overstreet Guide was the definitive listing of comic book prices. Of course, now with the internet, things have changed. This guide is still good, especially if you're dealing with some like more older comics that don't have as much in the way of price changes. You can get a lot of great information from here. Now, if you're talking about stuff that's been more recently released, or may all of a sudden get very popular because of news about the character appearing in a movie or something, a very good resource you can use is actually eBay. You can actually go into the advanced search on eBay, look at the sold listings, and you can actually look to see what people are actually paying prices for those comics. You can also go to some other different sites. Another one that's actually quite a paid subscription is CoverPrice. You have to pay a subscription, but they also do listings of the prices of stuff. They also release a top 10 list where they look at different comics over the week, and they'll show you which ones have been selling the best or have seen the greater price increases and stuff. They have a top 10 list. And so a lot of people at times will use that to just also see what's popular at the time period. So like I said, this is a good piece of advice. Another thing too with doing research is also just learning a little bit more about comic book grading. Just seeing, especially when you're looking with some of the older comics and stuff, a lot of times a comic that a dealer may have as a 6.5, but you think maybe more like a 5. So some comics that will make a big deal, just be a couple bucks difference. For others though, you could be talking about $100 of difference. So a lot of times just knowing how to do some basic grading can help. And this is a resource I bought. This is also put out by Overstreet, but it's a guide to grading comics. It just goes through just a breakdown going from 10 all the way down to pretty much no grade or 0, just showing what they're looking for in different grades, why a certain grade would be considered 7 compared to like a 5. They also provide some different images and stuff in there as well, just to show, give some actual examples of what a comic book that looks like a 6.0 would be. So this is just a great resource that I have found to really help out. And of course, another great resource too is making connections with other fellow collectors, or even with dealers, or even creators and stuff too. Learning more, talking, just getting to know more about the industry and the field. I get along very well with the owner of the local comic book shop where I go to, and he's also given me tips about stuff that's becoming very popular, or also has just given me some great deals on stuff as well. So it's very important to try and form connections, and just to form connections. So that's kind of it what I have today. Starting next week, I'm going to be talking about different aspects of collecting, looking at different things such as variant comics, mystery boxes, graded comics, and those will just be some of the topics we'll be covering over the next few weeks. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, just go ahead and give it a like, and I'll see you next time. Bye.